today we're doing lesson 4.4 on the slope formula. So in this lesson we are going to find the slope by using the slope formula. So why learn this? You can use the slope formula to find how quickly a quantity, such as the amount of water in a reservoir, is changing. In a previous lesson, slope was described as the constant rate of change of the line. So slope was the constant rate of change. You saw how to find the slope of a line by using its graph. So we did the rise over the run. There's also a formula you can use to find the slope of the line, which is usually represented by the letter m. So slope is going to be represented by the letter m. To use this formula, you need coordinates of two different points on a line. So the slope formula, the slope of a line is the ratio of the difference in the y values to the difference in the x values between any 2 points on the line. So if our points are x1, y1, and x2, y2, where this 1 and this 2 here signify that this is our first coordinate and our second coordinate. So if these two coordinates are two different points on a line, the slope of a line is m equals y2 minus y1. So we're taking y2, subtracting y1, and then dividing that by x2 minus x1. You see that our 2 coordinate comes first, and then our first coordinate comes second. So that's very important to make sure your first values correspond to one of the coordinates, second numbers correspond to the second coordinate. It's always the change of y over the change of x. Sometimes you'll see it like this, change of y with the triangle over the change in x. In math, whenever we have a triangle, it represents the change. So an example, 2, negative 3, and 1, 4. So my first coordinate is 2, negative 3. So this is my x1, y1, and then this is my x2, y2. So we took our change in y, so 4 minus negative 3, and then in the bottom, 1 minus 2. So 4 minus negative 3 minus negative becomes adding a positive, so 4 plus 3 gives us 7, and then 1 minus 2 is negative 1. So 7 divided by negative 1 gives us negative 7. So now we're going to look at example 1. So we are going to find slope by using the slope formula. So our coordinates are 4, negative 2, and negative 1, 2. So for 4, negative 2, we're going to call this our first coordinate, x1, y1. And then negative 1, 2 will be our second coordinate, so x2, y2. Now, if you want to name this your first coordinate, your x1 and y1, you can. You'll get the same answer in the end. So first we're going to do our y2, so that's 2. y1, negative 2, so I'm subtracting negative 2, all over my x2, so negative 1, minus my x1, which is 4. And now I just need to simplify. 2 minus negative 2 is 2 plus 2, so that gives me 4. And then in the bottom, negative 1 minus 4 gives me negative 5. So our slope is a negative 4/5. Okay? And again, you can switch which one you have as your first coordinate. So I'm going to show you that as well, just so you can see it. So if I put negative 1, 2 as, oops, sorry, I said 2 and then I wrote 2. Negative 1, 2 as my first coordinate, and then 4, negative 2 as my second coordinate, so x2, y2, you'll get the same thing. So if I did negative 2 minus 2 up top, and then the bottom 4 minus negative 1. Up top I would get negative 4, in the bottom I would get 5, which is the same thing as negative 4/5. Okay, so both ways would work. So now there are 3 check it out problems for you to do. So go ahead, take a moment and answer those 3 questions, and then resume the video when you're ready to check your answer. So for A, we're going to have negative 2 minus negative 2 over 7 minus negative 2. Up top, we're going to have negative 2 minus negative 2, which will be negative 2 plus 2, which gives us 0. And then 7 minus negative 2, which would be 7 plus 2, so 9. And 0 over 9 equals 0. For B, we're going to have negative 4 minus negative 7, and then 6 minus 5 in the bottom. So negative 4 minus negative 7, which will be negative 4 plus 7, which will give us positive 3. In the bottom, 6 minus 5 is 1. So 3 over 1 equals 3. So our slope is 3. For C, we're going to have up top 2/5 minus 7/5, and then 1/4 minus 3/4. So 2/5 minus 7/5 will give us negative 5/5. In the bottom, 1/4 minus 3/4, which will give us negative 2/4. And I'm just going to simplify these up top. That would give us negative 1. In the bottom, we would have negative 1/2. Now, we can't have a fraction within a fraction, so I'm going to rewrite this as negative 1 divided by negative 1/2. And then we can do our keep change flip. So I'm going to rewrite negative 1 as negative 1 over 1. We keep our first number, so we're going to keep negative 1 over 1, change division to multiplication, and flip this to negative 2 over 1. And then I multiply across. Negative 1 times negative 2 gives me positive 2. 1 times 1, 1. So I get 2 over 1, which equals 2. So the slope is 2. So for A, we got 0. B, we got 3. And then C, we got 2 for our slopes. Now we're going to look at example 2. Sometimes you are not given 2 points to use in the formula. You might have to choose 2 points from a graph or table. So example 2 is on finding slope from graphs and tables. Each graph or table shows a linear relationship, and find the slope. So whenever you're looking at a graph, you want to make sure you pick a point that you can easily identify where the line crosses your grid. So where your grid lines make a T or a cross, that's a good point to pick. So here, if we pick negative 2, negative 1, that would be a good point. And then the second one, so negative 2, negative 1, and then our second point, 2, 2. And it doesn't matter which one you pick as your first coordinate or your second coordinate. Remember when I showed with example 1, you'll get the same answer in the end. So I'm just going to put this as my first coordinate, second coordinate. So I'm going to do the change of y. So 2 minus negative 1. And then that's over the change of my x. So 2 minus negative 2. So 2 minus negative 1 is going to turn into 2 plus 1, which gives me 3. And then the bottom 2 minus negative 2, which will turn into 2 plus 2, which gives me 4. So my slope here is going to be 3 over 4, or 3/4. So now we're going to look at part B. Here we're given, let me get the focus back, sorry. Here we're given a table, and the table is just representing 4 different coordinates here. So 2, 0, 2, 1, 2, 3, 2, 5. So you can really choose any table or any coordinate from this table and use it. So you can pick any 2. The book uses 2, 0, and then 2, 3. You could do 2, 0, and 2, 1. Totally up to you. Okay, so I'm going to do 2, 0, and 2, 3 as my 2 coordinates here. So this is going to be my first coordinate, so x1, y1, and this is my second one, so x2, y2. So change of y, I'm going to have 3 minus 0 over 2 minus 2. 3 minus 0 is 3. 2 minus 2 gives me 0. Whenever I'm dividing by 0, this means it's going to be undefined. We can't divide by 0. So the slope of this line is undefined. Okay? There are 4 check it out problems this time for you to do. There's 2 graphs and 2 tables. So go ahead, take a moment, pause the video, and try these 4 problems on your own, and then resume when you're ready to check your answer. So for A, we have these 2 coordinates here. I'm going to pick 4 as my first one. So x1, y1, and then 8, 6 as my second coordinate. So x2, y2. So I'm going to have 6 minus 4 over 8 minus 4. 6 minus 4 will give me 2. 8 minus 4 is 4. And then 2 over 4, you can divide top and bottom by 2. So that simplifies to 1/2. So my slope is 1 over 2. Second example, B, we have the coordinates -2, 4 and 0, -2. So I'm going to name -2, 4 as my first coordinate, and then 0, -2 as my second coordinate, so x2, y2. Now remember, if you named this coordinate as your first one and this as your second, you should get the same answer. Okay, so now I'm going to do the change of y, so -2 minus 4, and then 0 minus -2. Up top, I'll get -6, and then minus a negative becomes adding a positive, so that'll be a +2. And then -6 over 2 will give us a slope of -3. C, we have a table, so you can pick 2 coordinates from the table. You can just do the first 2, or you want to do the first one and the last one. It doesn't matter. I'm just going to do the first 2. So 0, 1, and 2, 5. So x1, y1, x2, y2. So I'm going to have my change in y, so 5 minus 1 over 2 minus 0. 5 minus 1 gives us 4. 2 minus 0 gives us 2. And then 4 over 2 simplifies to 2. So our slope for that example is 2. Example D, we're given a table again. So pick 2 coordinates. It doesn't matter which one. I'm just going to pick the first 2. So -2, 3, and 0, 0. So x1, y1, x2, y2. So my change in y, so I'm going to have 0 minus 3. Change in x, 0 minus -2. 0 minus 3 is -3. And then subtracting a negative becomes adding a positive, so that's going to become 2. So our slope is -3 over 2. And whenever we write slope, we leave it as a fraction, even if it's an improper fraction. You don't need to change it to a mixed number here. Okay, so those are the answers for those 4 check it out problems. So now we're going to look at example 3. So remember that slope is a rate of change, so your rise over your run. In real-world problems, finding the slope can give you information about how quantity is changing. So example 3 is on an environmental science application. The graph shows how much water is in a reservoir at different times. Find the slope of the line. Then tell what the slope represents. So we have water in the reservoir, time on our x-axis, and water in thousands of cubic feet on the y-axis. So our 2 points are 20, 3,000, and then 60, 2,000. So we're going to use our slope formula to find the slope. So here you take the difference of your y values. So 2,000 minus 3,000 over 60 minus 20. So 2,000 minus 3,000 will give us -1,000. 60 minus 20 gives us 40. -1,000 divided by 40 will give us -25. Okay, so our slope is -25. Or you could write this as -25 over 1 if you want. Okay, so this means in this situation, okay, y represents the volume of the water. Okay, so that's our y. Our change of y is up top, so -25. And then our x represents the time. Okay, so time is going to be in the bottom. So what this means is our change in volume over our change in time, or thousands of cubic feet over hours. So this means it's decreasing, because it's -25, so it's decreasing 25,000 okay, because we're talking about thousands of cubic feet. So it's decreasing 25,000 cubic feet each hour. So a change of negative 25 means the amount of water in the reservoir is decreasing, because it's a negative change, at a rate of 25,000 cubic feet each hour. Now there is a check it out problem for you to do. It says the graph shows the height of a plant over a period of days. Find the slope of the line, then tell what the slope represents. So go ahead, take a moment, pause the video, and try this one on your own, and then resume when you're ready to check your answer. So our 2 points, we have 50, 20, and 30, 10. So I'm going to say 50, 20 is my first coordinate, and then 30, 10 is my second coordinate. So my change of my y, so I'm going to have 10. I did not mean to write a parenthesis, so let me get rid of that. Sorry about that. 10 minus 20 over 30 minus 50.
Good.
Okay.
Morning,
10
welcome
minus 20 will give us negative 10.
Now.
And then 30 minus 50 will give us negative 20. Okay. Sorry about the announcement going on. Just give me 1 second. Okay. So negative 10 over negative 20 will simplify to 1/2. Okay. Negative divided by a negative is a positive. So this is going to give us 1/2. Okay, so 1/2 is going to be our slope.
They'll be ready.
Okay.
They're still setting up. Give them a few more minutes, but they will be ready for you in about 5 minutes, I bet.
So the top is going to represent our height, and then in the bottom represents our time. So hopefully you were able to hear me. I'm just going to repeat that one more time. I apologize if there was an announcement. So 10 minus 20 gives us negative 10. 30 minus 50 gives us negative 20. A negative divided by a negative is a positive, and then 10 over 20 simplifies to 1/2. The change up top represents the height. The change in the bottom represents the time. So here, we need to describe what the slope represents. So this means the height of the plant is increasing at a rate of 1 centimeter every 2 days. So 1 is telling us 1 centimeter, 2 is telling us 2 days. So the height of the plant is increasing at a rate of 1 centimeter every 2 days. Example 4, finding slope from an equation. So find the slope of the line described by 6x minus 5y equals 30. So here, we learned before that we could find two coordinates by finding the x-intercept and the y-intercept. So to do this, we're going to get those 2 points, and then we're going to use those 2 points to find the slope. So to find the x-intercept, y becomes 0. So here our equation is 6x minus 5y equals 30. So here y is going to become 0. 5 minus 0 is 0, so I'm going to have 6x equals 30. Divide both sides by 6. So that means x equals 5, and our coordinate is going to become 5, 0. That's our x-intercept. To find the y-intercept, x becomes 0, so 6 times 0 is 0. So then I'm going to have negative 5y equals 30. Divide by negative 5. Y equals negative 6. So that means our coordinate is 0, negative 6. Okay? So now I have these 2 points, 5, 0, and 0, negative 6. I'm going to say 5, 0 is my first coordinate, and 0, negative 6 is my second coordinate. So change of y, so I'm going to have negative 6 minus 0 over my change in x, so 0 minus 5. So up top, negative 6 minus 0 is negative 6. 0 minus 5 is negative 5. So a negative divided by a negative is a positive. So this is going to be a positive 6 over 5. And remember, keep your slope as an improper fraction. There is one check it out problem for you to do. It says, find the slope of the line described by 2x plus 3y equals 12. So So go ahead, take a moment, pause the video, and resume when you're ready to check your answer. So first we're going to go and find the x-intercept. So to find the x-intercept, you set your y to 0. So we're going to have 2x plus 3 times 0 equals 12. 3 times 0 is 0, so I'm going to have 2x equals 12. Divide by 2. So x equals 6. So my coordinate is going to be 6, 0. Then find my y-intercept. For your y-intercept, x becomes 0, so you're going to have 2 times 0 plus 3y equals 12. 2 times 0 is 0, so you're going to have 3y equals 12. Divide both sides by 3. 3 divided by 3 is 1, so you're left with 1y. 12 divided by 3 gives us 4. So our y-intercept is going to be 0, 4. Now I'm going to go find my slope. I'm going to name this my first coordinate, this one my second. So I'm going to do my change of y. So 4 minus 0, so this is going to be my slope, which is m, over 0 minus 6. So 4 minus 0 is my change in y, 0 minus 6 is my change in x. So 4 minus 0 gives me 4, 0 minus 6 is negative 6. I can simplify it by dividing top and bottom by 2. So my slope is negative 2 over 3. And that is my final answer.